Now at 5, a job fair in Baxter Springs, Kansas aims to help workers laid off by the closures of Yellow Freight and King Louie. Plus, how a shortage of referees is impacting local sports teams. And
Speaker Kevin McCarthy directs House committees to launch a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. I'm Skyler Henry with reactions as Congress returns to Capitol Hill.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
as Baxter Springs, Kansas deals with 2 plant closings, the community is trying to connect job seekers with potential employers. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. The Cherokee County Economic Development Corporation organized a job fair in Baxter Springs. The fair was open to the community, but the first hour was dedicated to job seekers that have been recently laid off due to Yellow Freight and King Louie closings. The organizers wanted to showcase the job opportunities in Baxter and surrounding areas.
We actually invited employers from Missouri and Oklahoma, since we're so close to the border, to join us at the job fair today. So we're hoping that those that live in Oklahoma, maybe they can find something a little bit closer to their home. Although we would like to keep them in Kansas, we still invited some employers from out of state. That fair ran from 1 to 4 p.m. at First Christian Church. School sports are back to an old issue, a shortage of referees. In the region, every week about 6 football games are being played on Thursdays or Saturdays for that reason. Joplin High School football team, for example, had to move their first home game of the season to a Thursday because there were not enough officials for the Friday night game. But football's not alone. Other high school sports are also being impacted.
Every sport from volleyball, soccer to softball, basketball, any high school sport, it has its challenges with officials today.
When you get a game that has to be postponed because of snow or something like that, you need to be careful on what nights you put it back on, you reschedule it on, because there may not be officials available that night.
According to the Joplin Umpire Association, this has been a trend in the last 5 years. They're encouraging people who might be interested in being a referee or umpire to contact them. Parsons, Kansas organization today hosted a barbecue to help fund some future adventures. The Dream Advocacy Group provides resources and experiences for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Some of those experiences come in the form of group trips, and today's event raised money for those trips.
I think that it's important for people to understand that they are just like us and that they have rights just like we do. And I think that learning and interacting with them helps people be more comfortable with them.
In addition to the barbecue, there was also a beanbag toss. Beautiful weather out there. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, it's turned out to be a fantastic Tuesday for us today. Temperatures really nice. Most of us mid to upper 70s for highs, and that's pretty much where we are sitting now. 77 in Stockton, Anderson 76. Miami is checking in at 77. Much of the same in Pittsburgh as well, also sitting at 77. We do have a few little cumulus clouds out there, but in general, it's shaping up pretty nice. 75 in Joplin, northerly winds at about 5 to 10. Throughout the evening, if you want to get outside, do it. It's going to be great. We slide back through the 60s into the 50s a little bit later on tonight, so a very nice, comfortable night across the area. But just a few cumulus clouds, not a whole bunch going on for us today after the rain that we picked up yesterday. So what about the rest of the week? We'll look at that here in a bit.
See you soon. Republicans say they plan to move ahead with an impeachment investigation of President Biden. This comes as Congress is already battling a tight deadline to keep the government running. Reporter Skyler Henry has details from Capitol Hill.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says investigations into President Joe Biden and his son Hunter continued even through the congressional August recess.
House Republicans have uncovered serious and credible allegations into President Biden's conduct.
House Republicans accused the Biden administration of leaning on the Department of Justice during its investigation of Hunter Biden and of profiting off Hunter's foreign business dealings.
We know that bank records show that nearly $20 million in payments were directed to the Biden family members and associates through various shell companies.
The White House responded, saying the impeachment is politically motivated. White House spokesman Ian Sams tweeted, "Opening impeachment despite zero evidence of wrongdoing by POTUS is simply red meat for the extreme right wing, so they can keep baselessly attacking him." Speaker McCarthy has been under pressure from conservative members of his own party to bring this impeachment inquiry for months now.
Here we are, 8 months later, and we haven't even sent the first subpoena to Hunter Biden. That's how you know that the rushed and somewhat rattled performance you just saw from the speaker isn't real.
Some far-right members of the GOP may have forced McCarthy's hands because Congress has until the end of the month to pass spending bills or the government will shut down.
Use the power of the purse to stop this administration from trampling the American people.
Conservatives are demanding McCarthy comply with their demands, or they say they'll call for a vote to remove him as Speaker. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Now, the House Freedom Caucus wants, among other things, the end of the so-called weaponization of the DOJ, the weaponization of the Pentagon, the end of funding to help military members pay for expenses related to abortions, the end of funding for Ukraine, and deeper cuts to government spending. Authorities say an escaped prisoner who's been on the run for nearly 2 weeks is now armed with a rifle. They say convicted killer Danilo Calante has a .22 caliber rifle with a scope and flashlight mounted on it, all stolen from a garage in the South Coventry Township. Schools in that area of Pennsylvania remain closed as multiple agencies participate in that manhunt. North Korea's dictator Kim Jong-un is in the far east of Russia to meet with President Vladimir Putin. They were expected to talk about supplying arms to Russia for its war in Ukraine. The White House has warned Pyongyang it will pay a price if it strikes an arms deal with Moscow, but hasn't said exactly what that price would be. Still ahead, the next round of vaccines.
Updated COVID vaccines could be coming soon. I'm Jared Hill with a push to have the new shots considered just like your annual flu vaccine.
And later, the beginning of a court case that regulators say could determine the future of the internet. Topping today's Health Watch, the CDC is recommending everyone 6 months of age and older get an updated COVID-19 vaccine. The agency says the updated shots from Pfizer and Moderna will be available later this week. Jared Hill has the latest.
CDC Director Mandy Cohen addressed the agency's advisory panel before it weighed new data on the updated COVID-19 vaccines, which target the Omicron variant XBB.1.5.
We're in our strongest position yet to fight COVID-19, as well as flu and RSV this winter season.
On Monday, the FDA approved the updated mRNA vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna. Novavax's protein-based vaccine is currently being reviewed.
There is an urgent need for alternatives to mRNA-based vaccines, including protein-based vaccines. And so in that regard, we will review such a submission expeditiously.
While cases and hospitalizations are up, concern about the virus is down. In a new CBS News poll, just 45% of people say they are worried that they or a family member could get COVID. That's down from 77% in April of 2020. Only 43% plan to get the new booster, and those numbers vary by political affiliation. Many health experts are pushing to have the COVID vaccine considered just like every other shot and recommended every fall like the flu vaccine. Dr. William Schaffner with Vanderbilt University Medical Center says you can get the flu and COVID vaccines in one visit.
If that opportunity presents itself and you're up for it, sure, get them together. But if you get them one at a time, please make sure you come back for each of those vaccines.
Because it's the best protection for what could be a very active winter. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The updated COVID shots will be free for most people through private insurance. The shots will be available for people without insurance through the Bridge Access program for COVID-19 vaccines launching this fall. A new study reveals drifting smoke from wildfires could increase the risk of suicide in rural communities. Researchers found as pollution from wildfire smoke increases, so does the rate of suicide by rural white men and rural adults with no college education because they're more likely to work outdoors. Scientists also found smoke pollution increases have no impact on suicide rates among those who live in cities. A study of 900 Canadians between the ages of 15 and 30 reveals vaping could lead to chronic stress. Young people who vape are more than twice as likely to experience chronic stress than those who don't use e-cigarettes. Researchers also found those who vaped were more likely to be physically active. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, Apple unveils its next generation of iPhones.
Plus, our temperatures really cool down for us tonight. Also, a little bit of fog. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it definitely turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us today. We got some rain yesterday, which of course we needed, and then nice temperatures for us today. Partly sunny skies, nice shot. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri, but it looks pretty good. If you want to get outside this evening, you might as well. It's going to shape up pretty good. All right, only 2/100ths of an inch of rain since midnight. Most of that rain was prior to it, but for the month we're at 6/10, which is okay. It's not great, but it's okay for the year. About 22 1/4, but we're still 11 inches behind where we should be, so we still have the drought conditions. But this is going to start to improve. Our new pattern is almost, well, it's about 50% set, and it's going to completely set over the next 3 weeks, and this is going to be a much wetter pattern for us as we go through the next year. But you can still see dry along the I-44 corridor, extreme drought once you get up toward Nevada, and then also our western counties. So we need any rain that we can get. Looks pretty good. 74 Monette, 78 at Grand Lake, 79 in Parsons. Fort Scott is sitting at 79, 75 in Carthage. In Joplin, also 75. Visibility is good. Northerly winds 5 to 10 throughout the evening. Enjoy it. We drop back through the 70s into the 60s and then eventually into the mid-50s later on tonight. Have had some cumulus clouds kind of rotating through, but in general, the thicker clouds staying to our south, Oklahoma, parts of Arkansas. And if we widen out here, you can see a few ripples in our upper level pattern. So we are going to get a few weak waves in here, but not till later on this week. Overall, we're going to have pretty good temperatures over the next few days. All right, let's work through tonight. If you are going to be driving out there, just due to the moisture on the ground, watch out for a little bit of patchy fog across the region. But look at our overnight lows down into the mid-50s. As we go through the morning hours, partly sunny, warm into the mid-70s by noon, and I think most of us about 78, 79, 80 for an afternoon high. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy skies once again. We back down mid to upper 50s, and then as we go into Thursday, another pretty good day. Partly sunny skies, high temperatures right around 80 degrees on Thursday. So the next 2 days look fantastic. Clouds are going to start to increase by Friday, and that will give us a few chances for a few showers. All right, a little bit of fog in the morning, 74 by noon, 78 by 4. High temp tomorrow, 79. Let's go down the road. Let's go into Friday. We are going to get one of those weak waves, so we may get a few showers in here, especially late Friday. Friday night, it looks fairly light. Into Saturday morning, a few showers, and then by Sunday, looking pretty good. We are going to start to heat things back up a little bit as we go through next week. Not extremely hot, but warmer than what we're going to see this week. 79 tomorrow, 80 on Thursday, 81 on Friday, 83 Saturday with a few showers. Back to 85 Sunday, just kind of slowly stepping up into the upper 80s by the time we head into the middle of next week.
Boy, some great days to get outside, and if we get some showers, hey,
yeah,
we need it.
Fantastic temps.
Thanks, Doug. The Red Cross says about 10,000 people are missing in Libya, and officials there say at least 2,000 have died after torrential rain caused flooding that led to broken dams, destroying communities. Search and rescue teams are on the ground. More are on the way. Officials in Libya say help will be needed to recover bodies from the sea after the flooding swept away entire communities. Coming up, a landmark antitrust lawsuit trial gets underway as the government takes on Google. Topping today's Consumer Watch, Apple today unveiled its next generation of iPhones and watches during its annual reveal event. The new iPhone 15 lineup features enhancements in its chips, battery, and cameras. It also will use USB-C charging cables that are already used by iPads and Macs, already the standard in Europe. The iPhone 15 starts at $799, while the iPhone 15 Plus base price is $899. A trial pitting the federal government against tech giant Google got underway today. The Justice Department in 14 states accused the company of illegally monopolizing web searching by making deals with phone makers to be the dominant search engine on their devices. Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
Google's legal team arrived at the U.S. District Court in Washington Tuesday to defend itself against a landmark antitrust trial. The Justice Department claims the tech giant illegally pays more than $10 billion annually to make Google the default search engine on the iPhone and web browsers, shutting out rivals.
What the government is arguing in this case is that Google has not only attained a monopoly, but it's done so through using, anti-competitive tactics.
Antitrust advocate Stacy Mitchell says Google makes it nearly impossible for small companies to compete for business online.
They are a gatekeeper for access to information for every business that wants to reach a consumer. That is incredibly powerful.
The government says Google dominates nearly 90% of all searches in the U.S. and 95% of searches on mobile devices. Google denies any wrongdoing.
People don't use Google because they have to. They use Google because they want to.
Google's chief legal officer, Kent Walker, says if users don't want to use Google as the default, they could change it.
It's really easy for people to switch. On their smartphone, people have 40 or 50 different apps. So it couldn't be easier to download another one if they're looking for a different search engine.
The trial is expected to last about 10 weeks. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
The judge in that case is not expected to issue a ruling until early next year. MGM Resorts International says its gaming floors are back in business after a cybersecurity issue caused an outage at resorts all around the U.S. The issue began Sunday and impacted the company's reservation systems and casino floors. MGM says it has manual protocols in place to help guests in times of computer disruption. The company is investigating the cause of that issue. And Kia is recalling roughly 145,000 Sorrentos because the mounting clips on the rearview camera might break unexpectedly. That could cause the camera's display to not appear properly, increasing the risk of a crash. The recall covers the 2022 and 2023 Sorrento, Sorrento Hybrid, and Sorrento plug-in hybrids. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, part one of Norah O'Donnell's in-depth interview with Florida Governor and presidential candidate Ron DeSantis. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on a job fair for laid-off workers in Baxter Springs, Kansas. Plus, the city of Joplin officially dedicates a bridge to fallen JPD officer Jake Reed. And Pitt State Volleyball kicks off conference play against the Newman Jets. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. And there's a new kind of magic under the big top in Germany where circus organizers have replaced live animals with holograms. Circus bosses say it's all the fun of the fair without the cruelty as elephants, horses, and lions come alive in 3D form on giant projectors. Classic elements like clowns, acrobats, magicians are all still in the ring as crowds get the feel of live animals with sound effects and animation, presumably without the sound.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how crowds will respond. The weather looking nice.
It is a great evening if you want to get outside. Temperatures tonight, they're going to drop back into the mid-50s, and then tomorrow, 79 for a high, 80 on Thursday. Pretty good temperatures for us this week.
Looking great. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we'll be right back here at 6. Let's make it a great evening.